The first game of the weekend in Six Nations round three is going to be in Rome. It's Italy v Ireland. This is my reaction to the selection, and let's get into it. I'm Tim, and this is Egg Chasers. Please hit subscribe on the video and leave your comments. What do you make of the selection for this game? I'm going to be having a look at each of the teams, and then I'm going to be putting them together into a combined team by the end of the video as well. If you were a coach and had access to all 46 players, which match day 23 squad would you pick? Here's Italy's side. And some great news. Paolo Garbisi's back. That is awesome to see. That is really good. And also the skipper, Michele Lamaro, is back at 7 as well in a couple of changes for Italy. Real positive news, that one. And they're not far off. Completely full strength at this point. I think Monty Ioane, who is playing in Australia at the moment, will be available by the summer and come the World Cup. He would be on the wing. And other than that, maybe what's the hooker's name? Lucchesi, is it? Possibly him. And Zilocci is an option at tight head prop, I guess. But other than that, they're pretty much at full strength. And it's a far cry from Italy teams in the past where you thought, oh, these guys are just going to get absolutely panned. This is a serious international rugby team that could cause an upset. They're up against Ireland, of course, and I don't expect them to cause an upset. But I really like the look of that pack in particular. The back row, Canoni in the back row, his brother in the second row, they both look like ballers. Sebastian Negri, one of the hardest men in world rugby at 6. And a pretty tidy front row. I do like Fischetti. I think he's a really good prop. So him up against Beelum will be interesting to watch. I'll get into Ireland in just a minute. The one question mark I've got with this Italy team is at scrum half, really. Oh, firstly, I'm really pleased that Menoncello is back in the centre where he plays. He was on the wing last week, got caught out of position against England quite a lot, didn't look totally comfortable. He's back in at centre, and that centre pairing, Menoncello and Brex, quite a big unit there. And with Garbisi at 10, it's pretty handy. And Capuozzo at 15, always a danger. So I like the look of the team a lot. It's a shame about Jack Pelledri, his injury, so he's not on the bench. Scrum half. That's the one position in this team where I think Italy are some way short of where they need to be. And Stephen Varney, he's looked okay, questionable. Fusco's quite a dynamic scrum half. I would probably like to have seen him start, but I can understand he's prone to the odd mistake himself. They have got, is it Alessandro Garbisi, Paolo's brother, who's just coming through the ranks, and you'd love to see a Garbisi halfback pairing at some point for Italy in the future. But nine is a position I think they need to sort. But on the whole, they as I say, they couldn't pick a much stronger team. Let's jump over to Ireland. And how would you describe this? Well, 6 new faces in the 15. 3 in the forwards, 3 in the backs. In the forwards, you've got Ronan Kelleher coming in at hooker with Ian Henderson at second row and Jack Conan in the back row with Doris switching to the flank. I mean, it wasn't so long ago, Jack Conan was the first choice number 8. And Ronan Kelleher has had plenty of international rugby as well. Same Ian Henderson. So it's 3 very good players coming into a already very good pack. 3 more changes in the back line. Slightly newer faces here. Craig Casey at scrum half. Ross Byrne at 10. So a totally new halfback pairing. Well, not new, but, changed. And Bundy Aki coming in for Stuart McCloskey in the centre. On the bench, you've got, I'm just in his way there, Peter O'Mahony, Conor Murray, Stuart McCloskey onto the bench. Jack Crowley and Dan Sheehan. Great to see Dan Sheehan back, and he's on the bench. So Ireland are in a really good place, aren't they? Because in some positions, at the minute, Ronan Kelleher is excellent. He's the third choice. Craig Casey is excellent. He's the third choice scrum half. And if you find yourself in a bit of a tight game, well, you've got incredible amounts of experience and talent coming off the bench, which just demonstrates Ireland are in a really good place. Jack Conan, what was it, only like 18 months ago, he was starting for the British and Irish Lions in a test match against South Africa, and he's coming in as a rotation into Ireland's back row. Ian Henderson, a British and Irish Lion as well, is coming into the second row, and I'm quite excited to see Ryan Baird get some game time as well. I like the look of him a lot. So it feels very settled. And it feels like Andy Farrell can make 6 changes, which is quite a lot to a starting 15, and they don't feel a great deal worse off. Obviously, the big interesting point is going to be that half-back pairing. How will Craig Casey and Ross Byrne get on? And Jack Crowley when he gets a little bit of game time. I like the look of it. How about a combined 15 then, or 23? If you had access to all 46 players, who would you get? And it's not going to change a great deal from this picture you're looking at now, to be honest, because look, the only player in the matchday 23 that I would take for Italy over Ireland is Paolo Garbisi. And it has to be said, Paolo Garbisi is only just coming back from injury. So, I mean, there's an argument for Ross Byrne to go in there as well. And I think this speaks to just how good Ireland are right now. And just what depth they've got in some key positions. Like I said, they're in some cases, that in their third choice at 9 and hooker. And I was, on the England-Wales video, I'm not so sure about England's front row. And we're down to England's third or fourth choice hooker, and I don't know if it's quite at the level it needs to be, whereas I've got no such worries. And that's been one of the features of this tournament so far, is players like Finlay Bealham coming in, and people were a little nervous that the security blanket of Tadhg Furlong wasn't wearing 3 for Ireland, and he's looked good. So I think they can feel, and will feel, very confident. Players like Bundy Aki will feel they have a point to prove. And there's World Cup squad places at stake, potentially, for some of these guys. Jack Crowley will be itching to get off the bench and show what he can do. So they're already in a really good place. And I think the changes just demonstrate that even more. And looking at this, 22 out of 23 players, if you had access to all of them, the Italians, I feel I should mention that maybe, would be close. Sebastian Negri is a really good player at 6, but, he's up against one of the best players in the world right now in Caelan Doris. Who else? I can't think of many others. No. Oh, Capuozzo. There's an argument that if you had access to all 46 players, you put Capuozzo on the wing, maybe for Matt Hansen. Maybe. I can't see anything other than a handy Ireland win, even with the changes, which, well, I hope it's not a really, really heavy win. I think it could be. Italy, they tend to match up very well against teams that play really loose rugby. So they tend to do quite well against Scotland. They tend to do quite well against France. They don't tend to do very well against New Zealand. And I think for that reason, they won't do very well against Ireland either. They don't do very well against really well organised, really well drilled teams. And that is why I would probably put my mortgage on an Ireland win. See you on the next video.